Want to speak real Korean from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at KoreanClass101.com.
Hi everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. We've found that the best way to learn a language is to speak it from day one, and the best way to start speaking is to learn phrases that you'll use in real conversations. Today, we'll learn conversational phrases about occupations. After watching this video, you'll be able to talk about your job and ask what somebody does for a living. And if you want to learn more vocabulary, phrases, and example sentences you can use in real-life situations, click the link in the description to download your occupation PDF cheat sheet for free. Now, let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
직업이 무엇입니까? 저는 예술가입니다.
Listen to it again, now with the English translation.
직업이 무엇입니까?
What do you do?
저는 예술가입니다.
I'm an artist. First of all, you need to learn how to say, what do you do? That's.
직업이 무엇입니까?
Listen to it again.
직업이 무엇입니까? 직업이 무엇입니까?
Now, how do you answer this question? This is the pattern you'll need.
저는
Your occupation.
입니다.
I'm a, an, your occupation. For example, I'm an artist.
저는 예술가입니다. 저는 예술가입니다.
Here are a few more professions you can use with the same pattern. Police officer,
경찰, 경찰.
teacher,
선생님, 선생님.
doctor,
의사, 의사.
engineer,
엔지니어, 엔지니어.
Now, listen to some examples.
직업이 무엇입니까? 저는 선생님입니다. 직업이 무엇입니까? 저는 의사입니다. 직업이 무엇입니까? 저는 엔지니어입니다.
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, what do you do?
직업이 무엇입니까?
Imagine you're a doctor. Do you remember how to say, doctor?
의사, 의사.
Say, I'm a doctor.
저는 의사입니다.
Now answer the question saying that you are a doctor.
직업이 무엇입니까? 저는 의사입니다.
Now, imagine you're a teacher. Do you remember how to say teacher?
선생님, 선생님.
Say, I'm a teacher.
저는 선생님입니다.
Now, answer the question saying that you are a teacher.
직업이 무엇입니까? 저는 선생님입니다.
Now, imagine you're an engineer. Do you remember how to say engineer?
엔지니어, 엔지니어.
Say, I'm an engineer.
저는 엔지니어입니다.
Now, answer the question saying that you are an engineer.
직업이 무엇입니까? 저는 엔지니어입니다.
When learning a new language, everyone should have an ultimate goal to work towards. Whether you want to be able to connect with a relative, easily order food while traveling, or go somewhere new, having an end goal for your learning can be very motivating. A popular but challenging goal is being able to speak like a native speaker. It's difficult to measure exactly when you reach this goal, and it's not something you can pick up using textbooks alone. So how do you work on making your speech more natural? That's what we're going to look at today. Here are 3 tips to help you practice talking like a native speaker. Number 1, focus on vocabulary. If your goal is to speak like a native, you might be really focused on speaking quickly or using as many complex grammar patterns as possible. But in our native languages, we're not always trying to speak as fast as possible, and we use complex grammar patterns when necessary, not to show off. Vocabulary, however, is extremely important to expressing ourselves naturally. Your choice of words can reveal a lot about you and your understanding of the language. Most learners have had the experience of using a phrasebook or a dictionary to find a word they want to use, trying the word in conversation, and getting a look of confusion from the native speaker. In some cases, although your word choice may be grammatically correct, the word may be inappropriate for the situation or totally unnatural. This is especially important in business and other formal situations, where the right level of formality and professionalism is key. Being able to understand nuances in vocabulary words can also help you understand relationships between people just by listening to the conversation. Try to listen to many different types of conversations. Listen to how people talk to their friends, their superiors, and in customer service situations. This will give you a better idea of how to talk to others naturally. In some languages, you can omit words from sentences or use more direct communication styles. It's important to be aware of these things so you can apply them yourself. Colloquialisms and slang are also commonly used in most languages. As this sort of vocabulary is always evolving, it can be difficult to keep up with the latest words. Talk with native speakers and consume media in your target language to make sure you pick up these kinds of expressions. Media is a great resource for your learning. Ultimately, knowing the appropriate vocabulary to use for each situation will really help you sound more knowledgeable. Number 2, perfect your accent. With every language, there are unique pronunciation and intonation challenges. Some languages are tonal languages, and a change in pitch can completely change the meaning of a word. Then there's the fact that most countries have multiple dialects, and so people from one area of the country may sound different from those in another. So what is the best way to listen to a wide range of accents and different pronunciations? Video and audio resources are a great way to do this. YouTube is a perfect place to start because people from all kinds of different backgrounds upload videos to the platform. You can watch educational videos, daily life vlogs, cooking shows, a travel series, whatever interests you. Pay attention to the different ways people speak. Everyone is unique. And then practice speaking like them. This kind of practice can help you sound more natural. One note, please be aware of the type of resources you're using. For example, if you find a video where a speaker uses a rare dialect, it might not be a good idea to use that for your pronunciation practice, unless you have a special reason for studying a specific accent. As a general rule, it's best to try to search for practice resources that use a standard form of the language you're studying. Number 3, copy what you hear. Do you remember how you learned to speak as a child? We rarely learned new words just listening to them, or reading after we learned how. When we were little kids, we imitated the sounds we heard by repeating the sounds out loud. While you're talking to a friend, watching videos, or listening to audio in your target language, you can do this to try and replicate the way they speak. Doing this will help you work on mastering the flow of the language, your accent, intonation, and pronunciation. Of course, you might also pick up some new vocabulary this way. Make sure to repeat new words often. It's a great way to make sure you remember them. Try doing this using a number of different mediums and sources. That way, you'll be exposed to the diversity that the language offers and master the fundamentals of pronunciation. For example, you can watch and imitate several different YouTube videos and audio CDs, but try a few different sources, like different creators or different audio types, to make sure you experience a wide range of communication in your target language. If you're using our language learning program, you can even get your own teacher with Premium Plus. Your teacher can answer questions, give assignments, and even listen to your recordings and give you advice on pronunciation. Completing these kinds of lessons with a native teacher can really boost your confidence in your speaking skills. Becoming able to speak like a native is a popular goal for many people learning a new language. It feels great to be able to communicate smoothly, especially when the people you're talking to expect basic level sentences or broken communication. Try using the tips we've shared in this video to work on improving your speaking skills. Of course, it'll take time and persistence, but the reward will be more natural communication. And for even more tips on speaking, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Hey everyone, Alicia here. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. We've found that the best way to learn a language is to speak it from day one. And the best way to start speaking is to learn phrases that you'll use in real conversations. In this lesson, we'll learn conversational phrases to answer the question, "How's your mother?" After watching this video, you'll be able to talk about well-being and ask how someone is doing. And if you want to learn more vocabulary, phrases, and example sentences you can use in real-life situations, click the link in the description to download your Conversation About Family Well-Being PDF cheat sheet for free. Now let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
어머니는 어떠셔? 어머니는 괜찮으셔.
Once more with the English translation.
어머니는 어떠셔?
How's your mother?
어머니는 괜찮으셔.
She's fine. First of all, you'll need to learn how to say, "How's your mother?" That's,
어머니는 어떠셔?
listen to it again.
어머니는 어떠셔? 어머니는 어떠셔?
Now, how do you answer this question? The pattern is
어머니는
state of well-being. This Korean sentence literally means, my mother is, but it translates as, she is state of well-being in English. For example, she's fine.
어머니는 괜찮으셔. 어머니는 괜찮으셔.
Here are a few expressions related to well-being that you can use with this pattern. Great,
잘 지내는 잘 지내는
fine,
괜찮은 괜찮은
so-so,
그냥 그런 그냥 그런
not good,
안 괜찮은 안 괜찮은
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
어머니는 어떠셔? 어머니는 잘 지내셔. 어머니는 어떠셔? 어머니는 그냥 그러셔. 어머니는 어떠셔? 어머니는 안 괜찮으셔.
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, "How's your mother?"
어머니는 어떠셔?
Imagine she's great. Do you remember how to say great?
잘 지내는, 잘 지내는,
Say, she's great.
어머니는 잘 지내셔.
Now, answer the question saying she's great.
어머니는 어떠셔? 어머니는 잘 지내셔.
Now imagine she's so-so. Do you remember how to say so-so?
그냥 그런, 그냥 그런,
Say, she's so-so.
어머니는 그냥 그러셔.
Now, answer the question saying she's so-so.
어머니는 어떠셔? 어머니는 그냥 그러셔.
Now imagine she's not good. Do you remember how to say not good?
안 괜찮은, 안 괜찮은,
Say, she's not good.
어머니는 안 괜찮으셔.
Now, answer the question saying she's not good.
어머니는 어떠셔? 어머니는 안 괜찮으셔.
Most people who learn a foreign language learn it so that they can one day have real-life conversations with native speakers. When you start out learning and crack open your first textbook or listen to your first podcast, having a real conversation can feel like a fantasy. When everything about a language feels new, it can be overwhelming. But this couldn't be further from the truth. While it does take a significant amount of time and effort to become fluent, having a conversation might not be as far off as you think. In this video, we'll look at 3 ways you can boost your conversational skills and start talking to native speakers. Number 1, find native speakers and practice with them. It's unlikely you live near a big group of native speakers to practice with. If you happen to be in a major or international city, your chances may be better. Check and see if your city has a general language exchange. Chances are there could be a native speaker there who is also trying to learn another language. Practicing in person with a native speaker is probably the most interesting option for honing your speaking skills. But if you can't find anyone where you live, the next best option is to look online. Luckily for language learners, the past 10 years or so have seen an explosion in online language exchange sites. On these websites, you can search for someone who is a native speaker of your target language and is also learning your native language. The idea behind a language exchange is that you communicate with them via video or text chat, and half of the time, they help you practice your target language. And for the other half, you help them practice theirs. Practicing via an online language exchange is a highly effective way to practice your conversational skills. Number 2, work on pronunciation. Pronunciation is often an overlooked skill when it comes to learning a foreign language. Most people think of a good foreign accent as a luxury rather than a necessity. But what most people don't talk about is how having a good accent boosts your listening and comprehension skills. If you can hear a sound from a foreign language and know how to make it yourself, then you're more likely to understand native speakers when they talk at normal speed, and you're also more likely to remember any new words or phrases you come across. Having a good accent means that the language no longer sounds foreign. Instead, it sounds familiar, maybe even natural. So how do you go about perfecting your accent? The best way is to break down the language into its individual sounds. Make note of any sounds that are the same or similar to your native language and of those that are different. Of the sounds that are different, spend your time practicing the ones that you find the hardest to say correctly. After you're comfortable with the individual sounds, you can start linking together words and phrases. This is where accent practice starts to get really fun and interesting. Get your hands on some native speaker audio from a TV show, song, or podcast. Play the audio back and listen closely a few times. Take note of how words blend together in speech. Then, do your best to imitate what you hear, trying to match the speaker's emphasis and intonation. Our language learning program's playback feature is perfect for this. Record yourself and compare it to the original recording. Rinse and repeat until you're comfortable with the audio selection, and then move on to something more difficult. This is how you can break through the accent barrier and really start to make the language your own. Number 3, learn phrases, not just individual words. Learning grammar and individual words is great, but it's not the only approach you should take if you want to speak fluently. In addition to your regular grammar and vocabulary, try learning whole phrases, even if you aren't totally sure how they work grammatically. Learn phrases that are specific to your needs. It's a good idea to learn phrases that are grouped around a certain setting or subject, such as simple greetings or introductions, questions for getting to know someone, or traveling comfortably. You can even learn filler phrases, which you can use so that you have something to say when, well, you don't know what to say. Learning phrases like this will help you become conversational faster. You may not understand what you're saying literally, but as long as you know the general meaning behind the phrase and know when to use it, you'll be able to talk like a native. Eventually, your knowledge of grammar and vocabulary should catch up with the phrases you know. Learning a new language should feel like an adventure. There will be plateaus and periods in your learning where it feels like you're hitting a wall, but being able to speak with native speakers and have real conversations will help you combat language fatigue. After all, talking to someone face-to-face in a foreign language is one of the main reasons we start learning in the first place. And for even more ways to gain conversation skills, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Hey everyone, Alicia here. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. We've found that the best way to learn a language is to speak it from day one. And the best way to start speaking is to learn phrases that you'll use in real conversations. In this lesson, we'll learn conversational phrases to answer the question, what's the matter? After watching this video, you'll be able to make complaints and ask someone else if they're having any issues. And if you want to learn more vocabulary, phrases, and example sentences you can use in real-life situations, click the link in the description to download your Making Complaints PDF cheat sheet for free. Now let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
괜찮아요?
사무실이 덥습니다.
Once more with the English translation.
괜찮아요?
What's the matter?
사무실이 덥습니다.
The office is hot. First of all, you'll need to learn how to say, what's the matter? That's,
괜찮아요?
listen to it again.
괜찮아요? 괜찮아요?
This Korean sentence literally translates into, are you all right? But it means, what's the matter in English. Now, how do you answer this question? The pattern is
사무실이
adjective.
니다.
This Korean sentence literally translates into, the office adjective is, but it means, the office is adjective in English. For example, the office is hot.
사무실이 덥습니다. 사무실이 덥습니다.
Here are a few more examples you can use with the same pattern to make complaints. Hot,
덥다. 덥다.
cold,
춥다. 춥다.
noisy,
시끄럽다. 시끄럽다.
dirty,
더럽다. 더럽다.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
괜찮아요? 사무실이 춥습니다. 괜찮아요? 사무실이 시끄럽습니다. 괜찮아요? 사무실이 더럽습니다.
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, "What's the matter?"
괜찮아요?
Imagine the office is cold. Do you remember how to say cold?
춥다. 춥다.
Say, the office is cold.
사무실이 춥습니다.
Now answer the question saying the office is cold.
괜찮아요? 사무실이 춥습니다.
Now imagine the office is noisy. Do you remember how to say noisy?
시끄럽다. 시끄럽다.
Say, the office is noisy.
사무실이 시끄럽습니다.
Now, answer the question saying the office is noisy.
괜찮아요? 사무실이 시끄럽습니다.
Now imagine the office is dirty. Do you remember how to say dirty?
더럽다. 더럽다.
Say, the office is dirty.
사무실이 더럽습니다.
Now answer the question saying the office is dirty.
괜찮아요? 사무실이 더럽습니다.
Hi everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. We've found that the best way to learn a language is to speak it from day one. And the best way to start speaking is to learn phrases that you'll use in real conversations. In this lesson, you'll learn conversational phrases to ask and answer the question, how do you say this? After watching this video, you'll be able to ask someone how a word is pronounced. And if you want to learn more vocabulary, phrases, and example sentences you can use in real-life situations, click the link in the description to download your How to Say Something PDF cheat sheet for free. Now, let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
이것을 뭐라고 말해요?
그것은 주차장입니다.
Once more with the English translation.
이것을 뭐라고 말해요?
How do you say this?
그것은 주차장입니다.
It's parking lot. First of all, you'll need to learn how to say, how do you say this? That's,
이것을 뭐라고 말해요?
listen to it again.
이것을 뭐라고 말해요? 이것을 뭐라고 말해요?
This Korean sentence literally translates into, this how say? But it means, how do you say this in English? Now, how do you answer this question? The pattern is,
그것은
word.
입니다.
This Korean sentence literally translates into, that word is, but it means it's word in English. For example, it's parking lot.
그것은 주차장입니다. 그것은 주차장입니다.
Here are a few useful words you can use with the same pattern. Parking lot,
주차장, 주차장,
giraffe,
기린, 기린,
travel,
여행, 여행,
invasion,
침략, 침략,
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
이것을 뭐라고 말해요?
그것은 기린입니다.
이것을 뭐라고 말해요?
그것은 여행입니다.
이것을 뭐라고 말해요?
그것은 침략입니다.
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, how do you say this?
이것을 뭐라고 말해요?
Imagine it's the word giraffe. Do you remember how to say giraffe?
기린, 기린,
Say, it's giraffe.
그것은 기린입니다.
Now answer the question saying, it's giraffe.
이것을 뭐라고 말해요?
그것은 기린입니다.
Now imagine the word is travel. Do you remember how to say travel?
여행, 여행,
Say, it's travel.
그것은 여행입니다.
Now, answer the question saying it's travel.
이것을 뭐라고 말해요?
그것은 여행입니다.
Now imagine the word is invasion. Do you remember how to say invasion?
침략, 침략,
Say, it's invasion.
그것은 침략입니다.
Now answer the question saying it's invasion.
이것을 뭐라고 말해요?
그것은 침략입니다.
Want to speak real Korean from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at KoreanClass101.com.
You've studied for a while and are ready to talk to people and practice what you've learned. But where do you start? Starting a conversation in a new language can seem a bit intimidating. How do you just jump into it? In this video, we'll look at 5 ways to start conversations. Number 1, introduce yourself in your target language. This is usually one of the first things you learn when you start studying a new language. And sometimes, starting a conversation, or continuing one, is as simple as introducing yourself. Number 2, talking about the weather. This is a universal talking point. People talk about the weather all over the world. And just saying, it's really nice today, is enough to start a conversation. A great way to practice your weather conversation skills is to check out our Can-Do lesson pathway. This series of lessons teaches you how to talk about the weather in your target language. Number 3, give compliments. Compliments are a great way to start a conversation. You can compliment something about your conversation partner's city, country, or something specific to them personally. Hey, your bag is super cute, or that ice cream looks delicious. These kinds of compliments can lead to further conversation about what you complimented. In this case, it could be fashion or a local restaurant. This is a great way to make quick connections with people. Number 4, ask for help. For example, you can ask for directions, ask about prices, or request recommendations for restaurants or shopping spots, and let the conversation go from there. People are usually happy to lend a helping hand to tourists who are visiting their city. Number 5. Learn phrases for transactions. This can include getting a room at a hotel or telling a taxi driver where to go. When you're traveling overseas, you'll need to talk to other people in your target language. And while this might be a bit scary at first, you'll find that the people you meet are just happy that you're trying to communicate with them. So get started talking in your target language now. For even more tips on how to start conversations, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Hi everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. We've found that the best way to learn a language is to speak it from day one. And the best way to start speaking is to learn phrases that you'll use in real conversations. In this lesson, we'll learn conversational phrases to answer the question, what's your favorite number? After watching this video, you'll be able to say many numbers and ask someone their favorite number. And if you want to learn more vocabulary, phrases, and example sentences you can use in real-life situations, click the link in the description to download your Talking About Numbers PDF cheat sheet for free. Now, let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
좋아하는 숫자가 뭐예요? 7이에요.
Once more with the English translation.
좋아하는 숫자가 뭐예요?
What's your favorite number?
7이에요.
It's 7. First of all, you'll need to learn how to say, what's your favorite number? That's,
좋아하는 숫자가 뭐예요?
listen to it again.
좋아하는 숫자가 뭐예요? 좋아하는 숫자가 뭐예요?
This Korean sentence literally translates into, favorite number is what? But it means, what's your favorite number in English? Now, how do you answer this question? The pattern is, number.
이에요. 이에요.
This Korean sentence literally translates into, number it is, but it means, it's number in English. For example, it's 7.
7이에요. 7이에요.
Here are a few more numbers you can use with the same pattern. 7,
7. 7.
2,
2. 2.
4,
4. 4.
9,
9. 9.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
좋아하는 숫자가 뭐예요? 2예요. 좋아하는 숫자가 뭐예요? 4예요. 좋아하는 숫자가 뭐예요? 9예요.
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, what's your favorite number?
좋아하는 숫자가 뭐예요?
Imagine it's 2. Do you remember how to say 2?
2. 2.
Say, it's 2.
2예요.
Now answer the question saying, it's 2.
좋아하는 숫자가 뭐예요? 2예요.
Now imagine it's 4. Do you remember how to say 4?
4, 4,
Say, it's 4.
4예요.
Now, answer the question by saying, it's 4.
좋아하는 숫자가 뭐예요? 4예요.
Now, imagine it's 9. Do you remember how to say 9?
9, 9,
Say, it's 9.
9예요.
Now, answer the question saying, it's 9.
좋아하는 숫자가 뭐예요? 9예요.
Hi everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. We've found that the best way to learn a language is to speak it from day one. And the best way to start speaking is to learn phrases that you'll use in real conversations. In this lesson, we'll learn conversational phrases to answer the question, what kind of movies do you like? After watching this video, you'll be able to talk about movies and ask other people about their favorite kinds of movies. And if you want to learn more vocabulary, phrases, and example sentences you can use in real-life situations, click the link in the description to download your Talking About Movies and TV PDF cheat sheet for free. Now, let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
어떤 영화가 좋아요?
공포 영화가 좋아요.
Once more with the English translation.
어떤 영화가 좋아요?
What kind of movies do you like?
공포 영화가 좋아요.
I like horror movies. First of all, you'll need to learn how to say, what kind of movies do you like? That's,
어떤 영화가 좋아요?
listen to it again.
어떤 영화가 좋아요? 어떤 영화가 좋아요?
Now, how do you answer this question? The pattern is type of movie.
가 좋아요.
This Korean sentence literally translates as type of movie I like, but it means I like type of movie movies. For example, I like horror movies.
공포 영화가 좋아요. 공포 영화가 좋아요.
Here are a few more kinds of movies you can use with the same pattern to talk about movies. Horror,
공포 영화. 공포 영화.
comedy,
코미디 영화. 코미디 영화.
fantasy,
판타지 영화. 판타지 영화.
romance,
로맨스 영화. 로맨스 영화.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
어떤 영화가 좋아요?
코미디 영화가 좋아요.
어떤 영화가 좋아요?
판타지 영화가 좋아요.
어떤 영화가 좋아요?
로맨스 영화가 좋아요.
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, what kind of movies do you like?
어떤 영화가 좋아요?
Imagine you like comedies. Do you remember how to say comedy?
코미디 영화, 코미디 영화.
Say, I like comedies.
코미디 영화가 좋아요.
Now answer the question saying that you like comedies.
어떤 영화가 좋아요?
코미디 영화가 좋아요.
Now imagine that you like fantasy movies. Do you remember how to say fantasy?
판타지 영화, 판타지 영화.
Say, I like fantasy movies.
판타지 영화가 좋아요.
Now, answer the question saying you like fantasy movies.
어떤 영화가 좋아요?
판타지 영화가 좋아요.
Now imagine you like romantic movies. Do you remember how to say romantic?
로맨스 영화, 로맨스 영화.
Say, I like romantic movies.
로맨스 영화가 좋아요.
Now answer the question saying you like romantic movies.
어떤 영화가 좋아요?
로맨스 영화가 좋아요.
Want to speak your target language with confidence and impress native speakers? When learning to speak a new language, you have lots of things to think about, including grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Because you're thinking of all of these things and trying to speak, it can be difficult to communicate with confidence, especially in the beginning. This is why it's helpful to make confidence-building exercises part of your language learning process. In this video, you'll learn 7 ways to boost your confidence. 1. Read out loud. This might seem pretty basic, but it's a great way to practice speaking. Reading aloud lets you practice speaking without having to think about grammar or things to talk about. Reading out loud lets you focus on your pronunciation and the rhythm of the language. It can help you learn to speak more smoothly and quickly, without even thinking about it. If you're using our lessons, read the dialogue out loud as you listen. You can read along with the dialogue tool, the lesson notes, or the transcript. 2. Read like a child. This might sound strange, but think about children learning to read. They go slow and sound everything out. Maybe it takes 2 or 3 tries before they read a new word smoothly, and a few more tries before they can read it at a natural pace. This example applies to language learning too. If you find a complex sentence in something you're reading, read it slowly at first, then speed up. With practice, you'll be able to say it easily. It might feel a bit silly to speak very slowly, but this kind of practice can help you identify tough sounds you might miss or say incorrectly when reading quickly. 3. Use the dialogue breakdown tool. If you're using our site, this is a great tool to take advantage of. It breaks down lesson conversations into individual lines. You can listen to the audio for each line, learn what each line means, and can reread and review as much as you want. 4. Use the voice recorder to record and compare yourself with native speakers. Just click on the microphone icon next to each line in the dialogue section. You can use this tool to perfect your pronunciation if you like, but this is also something you can use to work on speaking with confidence at native level speed. You'll find this tool in the dialogue section of all of our lessons. 5. Repeat and review old lesson conversations. Reviewing what you've studied in the past is the best way to make sure you maintain what you've learned. Go back to older lessons, download the lesson dialogue tracks, and re-listen to the conversations again and again. Or you can reread the dialogue lines from previous lessons until you've mastered them all. 6. Shadow conversations. Repeat what you hear out loud. This tactic is important, but it can be tricky when you're doing a brand new lesson. If you're reviewing dialogues from lessons you've done, though, it's super easy to do. Just listen to the dialogue and repeat what you hear. Shadowing means mimicking the speaker as soon as they speak, following their intonation and rhythms as closely as possible. 7. Send recordings to your Premium Plus teacher. If you want to speak with confidence, there's no better confidence boost than feedback from a native speaker, and you get just that with a Premium Plus teacher. You can record yourself reciting a lesson dialogue or any dialogue of your own, and your teacher will give you specific tips on how to improve. From the tips your teacher gives you, choose at least one and practice, practice, practice. Being able to react quickly and with confidence in a conversation is typically not something you can do on your first try, but if you continue practicing, you'll gradually find yourself speaking with ease. And for even more ways to build your speaking confidence, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Hi everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. We've found that the best way to learn a language is to speak it from day one. And the best way to start speaking is to learn phrases that you'll use in real conversations. In this lesson, you'll learn conversational phrases to answer the question, what are you doing during the holiday? After watching this video, you'll be able to talk about your holiday plans. And if you want to learn more vocabulary, phrases, and example sentences you can use in real-life situations, click the link in the description to download your National Holidays PDF cheat sheet for free. Now, let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
추석에 어디 가요?
바닷가에 갈 계획이에요.
Once more with the English translation.
추석에 어디 가요?
What are you doing for Korean Thanksgiving?
바닷가에 갈 계획이에요.
I'm planning to go to the beach. First of all, you'll need to learn how to say, what are you doing for Korean Thanksgiving? That's
추석에 어디 가요?
Chuseok is a 3-day harvest festival celebrated when there is a full moon on the 15th day of the 8th month of the lunar calendar. Listen to it again.
추석에 어디 가요? 추석에 어디 가요?
This Korean sentence literally translates as, where are you going during Korean Thanksgiving? But it means, what are you doing for Korean Thanksgiving? Now, how do you answer this question? The pattern is plan.
일 계획이에요.
I'm planning to plan. For example, I'm planning to go to the beach.
바닷가에 갈 계획이에요. 바닷가에 갈 계획이에요.
Here are a few more phrases you can use with the same pattern to talk about your plans. Go to the beach.
바닷가에 가다. 바닷가에 가다.
Travel.
여행하다. 여행하다.
Stay home.
집에 있다. 집에 있다.
Go to the movies.
영화관에 가다. 영화관에 가다.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
추석에 어디 가요? 여행할 계획이에요. 추석에 어디 가요? 집에 있을 계획이에요. 추석에 어디 가요? 영화관에 갈 계획이에요.
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, "What are you doing for Korean Thanksgiving?"
추석에 어디 가요?
Imagine you're planning to travel. Do you remember how to say travel?
여행하다. 여행하다.
Say, "I'm planning to travel."
여행할 계획이에요.
Now, answer the question saying you're planning to travel.
추석에 어디 가요? 여행할 계획이에요.
Now, imagine you're planning to stay home. Do you remember how to say stay home?
집에 있다. 집에 있다.
Say, "I'm planning to stay home."
집에 있을 계획이에요.
Now, answer the question saying you're planning to stay home.
추석에 어디 가요? 집에 있을 계획이에요.
Now imagine you're planning to go to the movies. Do you remember how to say go to the movies?
영화관에 가다. 영화관에 가다.
Say, "I'm planning to go to the movies."
영화관에 갈 계획이에요.
Now, answer the question saying you're planning to go to the movies.
추석에 어디 가요? 영화관에 갈 계획이에요.
Hi everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. We've found that the best way to learn a language is to speak it from day one. And the best way to start speaking is to learn phrases that you'll use in real conversations. In this lesson, you'll learn conversational phrases to use when talking on the phone. After watching this video, you'll be able to ask for someone on the phone and to put someone on hold. And if you want to learn more vocabulary, phrases, and example sentences you can use in real-life situations, click the link in the description to download your Making a Phone Call PDF cheat sheet for free. Now, let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
여보세요. 담당자와 통화하고 싶은데요.
네, 잠시만 기다려 주세요.
Once more with the English translation.
여보세요. 담당자와 통화하고 싶은데요.
Hello, I'd like to speak with the person in charge.
네, 잠시만 기다려 주세요.
Okay, just a moment. First of all, you'll need to learn how to say hello on the phone. That's
여보세요. 여보세요.
Then you'll need to learn how to say, "I'd like to speak with person." The pattern is person.
와, 과, 통화하고 싶은데요.
This Korean sentence literally translates as person with talk on the phone want, but it means I'd like to speak with person. For example, hello, I'd like to speak with the person in charge.
여보세요. 담당자와 통화하고 싶은데요. 여보세요. 담당자와 통화하고 싶은데요.
Now, how do you answer this question?
네, 잠시만 기다려 주세요.
Okay, just a moment. Listen to it again.
네, 잠, 시, 만, 기, 다, 려, 주, 세, 요. 네, 잠시만 기다려 주세요.
This Korean sentence literally translates as, yes, moment wait, but it means, okay, just a moment. Here are a few more phrases you can use with the same pattern to talk on the phone. The person in charge,
담당자, 담당자,
a sales representative,
영업사원, 영업사원,
the manager,
매니저, 매니저,
customer service,
고객 서비스, 고객 서비스,
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
영업사원과 통화하고 싶은데요.
네, 잠시만 기다려 주세요.
매니저와 통화하고 싶은데요.
네, 잠시만 기다려 주세요.
고객 서비스와 통화하고 싶은데요.
네, 잠시만 기다려 주세요.
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, I'd like to speak with person? Person.
와, 과, 통화하고 싶은데요.
And how do you answer it?
네, 잠시만 기다려 주세요.
Imagine you want to talk to a sales representative. Do you remember how to say, a sales representative?
영업사원, 영업사원,
Say, I'd like to speak with a sales representative.
영업사원과 통화하고 싶은데요.
Now say you want to talk to a sales representative and answer it.
영업사원과 통화하고 싶은데요.
네, 잠시만 기다려 주세요.
Now, imagine you want to talk to the manager. Do you remember how to say, the manager?
매니저, 매니저,
Say, I'd like to speak with the manager.
매니저와 통화하고 싶은데요.
Now say you want to talk to the manager and answer it.
매니저와 통화하고 싶은데요.
네, 잠시만 기다려 주세요.
Now imagine you want to talk to customer service. Do you remember how to say customer service?
고객 서비스, 고객 서비스,
Say, I'd like to speak with customer service.
고객 서비스와 통화하고 싶은데요.
Now say you want to talk to customer service and answer it.
고객 서비스와 통화하고 싶은데요.
네, 잠시만 기다려 주세요.
Want to speak real Korean from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at KoreanClass101.com.
Want to speak and understand more of your target language? If so, of course, you'll need to know more words and phrases than you do now. In this video, we'll cover 5 ways to master new words and phrases fast. Number 1, use our free vocabulary list. This is a free library of vocabulary and phrase lessons for all kinds of situations. You can learn words and phrases for current events, holidays like Halloween and Thanksgiving, and useful topics like the top 10 ways to say hello, conversational phrases, and more. You'll learn phrases that you won't find in textbooks. If you want to learn extra fast, use the slideshow tool. Just tap or click on View Slideshow, then sit back and review the words and phrases. Find the vocabulary lists in the vocabulary drop-down menu on the site. These vocabulary lists are free for all users. Number 2, take the audio and video lessons. One of the best ways to learn new words is by hearing and using them in conversations. This is because it gives you the opportunity to understand how the words are actually used. In every lesson dialogue, you'll likely come across some words you don't know. But don't worry, because our teachers translate everything. When you hear the conversation again at the end of the lesson, you'll be familiar with the words you didn't know at first. Number 3, learn with our 2,000 most common words list. A quick question. How many words do you think you need for conversational fluency? 3,000? 5,000? It's actually not as many as you think. Language experts say you need about 1,500 words to reach conversational fluency. With our 2,000 most common words list, you'll get access to key vocabulary words you need to boost your conversation skills. The words are broken down into simple categories, such as adjectives, nouns, verbs, food, drinks, numbers, months, and so on. So you can go category by category and focus on what you're most interested in first. With this tip, we're not talking about paper flashcards. We're talking about the smart flashcards that you can find in our premium study tools. This is an automatic system individualized for each member based on their study needs. First, you'll use the cards to check your knowledge. Then, according to your answers, the cards will be sorted according to which words you need more practice with. Words that you struggle with will be shown to you more and more. You'll see words that you know well less often. This system helps you study more efficiently. It displays the words you need to work on and knows when you should refresh your knowledge. This helps make sure you don't forget vocabulary. In every study session, these cards will help you refresh your memory on the words you learned last time and introduce new words. Number 5, use the words. After you learn a new word, using it right away is crucial to remembering it. So, when you're done with a lesson or a vocab list, here's something you can do. Leave a comment. Make up a sample sentence and post it in the comment section. Write it down in a notebook, or shadow the word with a lessons dialogue. Our language learning program is full of tools that can help you speak more. Just pick one and get started. If you want to unlock all of these study tools, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Want to finally start speaking in your target language? In this guide, you'll discover the top 7 ways to practice speaking on your own with our lessons. Let's begin. Number 1, shadowing. Shadowing is a proven learning technique where all you do is repeat what you hear in order to practice speaking. So access any audio or video lesson on the site and press the play button to start. Then, as you listen or watch, just repeat the conversations. Or, even easier, read along out loud with the dialogue section. The script is right there in front of you. With our lessons, you can master entire conversations, just like that. Number 2, read out loud. I just mentioned it, but reading out loud is another powerful tactic and deserves its own mention. With every lesson, you get written transcripts and translations. So, as you play the lesson, read the dialogue out loud as you hear it. Why? By reading out loud, you're also practicing your speaking skills. You can do this with the lesson notes, the lesson transcript, or the dialogue tool. With the dialogue tool, you can listen to each line again and again, and repeat out loud until you master them all. Number 3, speed up your reading to speed up your speaking. Being able to speak without thinking is a sign of language mastery. If you're talking to a native and can respond quickly, they'll assume that you're fairly fluent. How can you do this? When you read out loud, try increasing your speed a little bit every time. So, start by reading with the dialogue tool. If you're like most learners, you'll read the first line slowly. That's because you're still getting used to the words, which is okay. Reread it. On your second try, you know most of the words, and you'll read a little faster. Reread it again. On your third try, you'll be even faster, at a native speaker's speed. And being able to read these phrases out loud and fast will help you speak fast. Number 4, record and compare yourself with native speakers. In order to sound like a native speaker, you must imitate native speakers. So here's how. Access the voice recorder, which is in the dialogue study tool in every lesson. Click on the microphone icon. Listen to the native speaker's audio, and then record yourself. You can then compare the 2 recordings side by side, and practice and try again and again until you perfect your pronunciation. Number 5, get feedback from our Premium Plus teacher. If you're learning by yourself and don't have access to real teachers, then you can always get feedback from our Premium Plus teachers. With the My Teacher tool, you can record yourself speaking and send the audio file to the teacher. They'll review it and tell you what to improve and how. That's it. Number 6, level up your speaking with Premium Plus assignments. With Premium Plus, you can also get assignments that cover reading, writing, listening, and even speaking from your teacher. These assignments can be tailored to your goals and needs. You get a new one every week, or anytime you're ready for a new one. Number 7, get even more lessons in the lesson library. If you want even more lessons on speaking and conversations, visit our lesson library and under Category, choose Conversation. You'll get all of the pathways and lessons that are focused on speaking. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share it with anyone who's trying to learn a language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. And if you're ready to finally learn language the fast, fun, and easy way, and start speaking from your very first lesson, get our complete learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account right now. Click the link in the description. I'll see you next time. Bye!
Hi everyone, I'm Jae-hui. Welcome back to Korean Top Words. In this lesson, we'll be talking about top 10 phrases tourists should never use. Let's begin. 역겨워. That's disgusting. 역겨워. That's disgusting. Yeah, I think there might be some part of the culture that you don't like, but if you just say 역겨워, that's disgusting, I think that just shows how much you're not ready to accept a different culture. I think that's not good to say. 우리나라가 낫다. My country is better. 우리나라가 낫다. My country is better. In Korean, it's better to say 우리나라 when you want to say my country. 내 나라 is the phrase meaning my country literally, but it sounds a little bit unusual. So 우리나라, which means our country, is better to say when you want to say my country. 차라리 집에 가고 싶다. I'd rather be back home. 차라리 집에 가고 싶다. I'd rather be back home. I sometimes think like that. I don't say it. I think that's the point. You can think like, I want to go back home because, I'm tired. Because when you take a vacation for like several months, I think there will be the moment that you're no longer taking anything new. So I think you can think about it, but saying it to other person, especially to someone who lives in that country, might not a good idea, I believe. 닥쳐. Shut up. 닥쳐. Shut up. Do people use that? Not only for tourists, but also for anyone. I think it's rude to say 닥쳐. There might be some moments that you really have to say, but I don't think it's a good idea to say it often, even though you don't like something. 당신의 문화에 대해 별로 관심 없어요. I'm not very interested in your culture. 당신의 문화에 대해 별로 관심 없어요. I'm not very interested in your culture. I think I heard something like that in the past. I'm not sure where, but it's not good to hear that. Not only about the culture, if someone says this, I think it means something like, he or she is really not interested in anything else but him or herself. So, 그냥 맥도날드 가서 먹자. Let's just eat at McDonald's. 그냥 맥도날드 가서 먹자. Let's just eat at McDonald's. I used to be like that actually. Like when I traveled in 20s, I think I only focused on sightseeing. Like I wanted to make a list of the things to go, things to do, and then do that one by one. Like I remember I was making the plan by minutes, like saying, 7:35, I go there. So since I was super busy to go to place A, B, C, D, E, I really didn't think about having a nice meal. So I usually just went to McDonald's or Burger King's, like that kind of fast food restaurants. And these days I can see the main things about my trip is all about the food. So I think that's kind of the big change in my style for having a trip. 이거 맛이 끔찍해. This tastes awful. 이거 맛이 끔찍해. This tastes awful. If you travel in Korea, I think there might be some food that you might not like. Some Korean people say that because they really like the honesty. I think you can say that when you think the other person's really talk directly. But if your friends in Korea, they are not direct, I think it's better to say something else. Like for example, if you don't like the taste, you can find another food that tastes better and say, 이거 맛있어. This tastes good. And just keep eating it. 호텔에서 하루 종일 있을래. I'm going to spend the day in the hotel. 호텔에서 하루 종일 있을래. I'm going to spend the day in the hotel. I'm this kind of person. I eat, come back to hotel, spend a day, and go out and eat and just come back, I think. It's important to find who is sharing your style together. Like, if your friend really want to go outside and do a lot of activities, I think it's not a good idea to say it in the morning. If you really want to get relaxed at a hotel, I think you can say that. That will be okay. But if you mean something like, I'm tired of trying anything, I'm tired of speaking, their languages, I think it means something mean, like, it means something like, then why you're here? Like, why you spend your money for a trip? So I think it depends on the meaning of the phrase, 호텔에서 하루 종일 있을래. 이거 바보 같아. This is stupid. 이거 바보 같아. This is stupid. That happens to me like when I go to a country and if they follow some different rules. So instead of saying 이거 바보 같아, this is stupid, I think it's better to try to understand what's behind and why they follow that. 이 사람들 미개해. These people are uncivilized. 이 사람들 미개해. These people are uncivilized. I never heard this phrase, so if someone really says that, I think I'll be really shocked. Okay, that's top 10 phrases tourists should never use. I hope you don't use some of the phrases when you travel. Make sure to subscribe and I'll see you in the next video. 다음 시간에 뵙겠습니다. 안녕히 계세요.
You are at a train station where you're attempting to buy an express ticket from a ticket machine. Which option should you choose to buy an express ticket? Which option should you choose to buy an express ticket? The option on the bottom left is for an express ticket.
직통
You are at a train station where you've just bought an express ticket. Which train car, row, and seat number are you in? Which train car, row, and seat number are you in? The ticket says that you're in train car number 1 in seat 8C.
1호차 8시석
You are at a train station where you're reading the train schedule for an express ticket that you've just bought. On which days are there no express trains running? On which days are there no express trains running? There are no express trains running on public holidays and the third Sunday of every month.
법정 공휴일 매달 세 번째 일요일
Hi, welcome to Introduction to Korean. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Jae-hee.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Korean grammar. Word order refers to the order in which words are structured to form a sentence in a given language. Consider the English sentence, I saw a movie. But first, let's remove the article a here for simplicity. So we're just left with I saw movie. The basic word order for English is subject, verb, object, or SVO for short. If we break down the English sentence, I saw a movie, we can see that the subject I is presented first, followed by the verb saw, and then finally the object movie is positioned last. This is the basic word order for sentences in English.
Now, let's compare the same sentence, I saw a movie, in Korean. 나는 영화를 봤어요. If we break down the Korean sentence, we get the subject 나, meaning I, then comes the object 영화, meaning movie, and finally we have the verb 봤어요, meaning saw. The word order for Korean then is subject, object, verb, or SOV for short.
In both languages, the subject is presented first. In English, though, it's followed by the verb and then the object, compared to the object being first and the verb last in Korean. The same sentence in Korean is essentially I movie saw, subject first, then object and verb last, SOV. This is the basic word order for sentences in Korean.
Okay, let's move on to the next section.
English is what is called a subject-prominent language. This simply means that the subject is slightly more important than other components in the sentence. It's the key piece of information other components in the sentence relate to. Who is doing the action is slightly more important than what is being done or which object it's been done to in English. If we had to slowly remove pieces of information from a sentence while trying to keep its essence intact, logically we would do so in order of least important to most important. If we were to omit the subject, we would get saw a movie, which sounds strange. On the other hand, if we were to omit the object instead, the sentence would become I saw. Even though in each instance we omitted a piece of information, the reason I saw sounds less strange is because we've yet to break any grammatical rules, and so there's still potential for the sentence fragment to become a complete sentence and to become grammatically correct. Since the latter is logical, this indicates that the subject is more important than the object in English. The same is true if we had omitted the verb. Since the subject is the integral component in the sentence, This makes English a subject-prominent language.
Korean, on the other hand, is a topic-prominent language. Unlike English, the focus of each Korean sentence is the topic, not the subject. Essentially, the watched a movie portion, 영화를 봤어요, is the main focus of the sentence. The subject I can be omitted.
In fact, if it's obvious what the subject is, or if it's already been established, it's quite normal to omit the subject from the conversation altogether in Korean. Let's look at this aspect in a bit more detail. More often than not, if you wanted to say, I saw a movie in Korean, you would not say,
나는 영화를 봤어요.
Instead, you would more likely say, movie saw in Korean.
영화를 봤어요.
Korean is a topic-prominent language. Thus, the information to be shared is the act of seeing a movie. The subject is less important and is usually omitted altogether. Most Korean sentences are constructed and spoken like this in real life.
영화를 봤어요.
On the other hand, when it's unclear who or what the subject is, or if you wanted to place emphasis on the subject, like if you wanted to specify from a group of people that it was you who saw the movie, then you would include the subject.
제가 영화를 봤어요.
But more often than not, in spoken Korean, you can omit the subject, particularly if that subject is you.
선물을 샀어요. 택시를 타고 돌아왔어요.
Knowing this, we can easily express any simple action in Korean using just the object and the verb. Try to create the sentence, I ate an apple, from these sets of words.
먹었어요. 사과를.
Got it? The object goes first, so let's put apple here. And the verb goes last, so let's put ate at the end. Finally, we connect them using the appropriate particle. And that's it.
사과를 먹었어요.
Which means, I ate an apple in Korean.
사과를 먹었어요.
Well done. Let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned. In this lesson, you learned that Korean sentences are formed using a subject-object-verb, or SOV, word order. The most important aspect of Korean sentences is not the subject, but the topic of the sentence. Most sentences spoken in Korean will not actually contain a subject, especially if that subject is obvious. And lastly, you can create basic sentences in Korean by putting the object first and the verb last. We've covered only the very basics of Korean grammar. If you're interested in learning more, check out our Korean in 3 Minutes video series. In that course, we teach you useful phrases while covering the fundamentals of Korean grammar, and each lesson is only 3 minutes long. Bye!
다음에 또 만나요. Hi everybody, Jay here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common Korean questions. The question for this lesson is, how do I introduce myself in Korean? You can introduce yourself in 3 different ways in Korean. The most polite version, which ends in 입니다, the most common one, which ends in 예요 or 이에요, and the most casual version, which ends in 야 or 이야. Let's see some situations where you need to introduce yourself. Let's say you're at a job interview. In this case, you want to use the most polite version. For example, if I want to say my name is Jae-hwi Lee, using this version, I'll say 이재휘입니다, using 입니다 at the end. It's safe to use this introduction in any formal or professional setting. If you want to be polite but not too formal, you can use the 예요 or 이에요 ending. The ending depends on whether your name ends in a vowel or consonant. Since my name is Jae-hwi, which ends in a vowel, I'll use 예요. So the whole introduction will be 재휘예요. If your name ends in a consonant, like the common Korean female name 지현, then you use the 이에요 ending. Therefore, the whole introduction will be 지현이에요, using 이에요 at the end. This is the most common way to introduce yourself. The last version is really casual, so be careful when you use it. Again, the ending depends on whether your name ends in a vowel or consonant. With my name, Jae-hwi, I'll use the 야 ending. Therefore, the whole phrase would sound like 재휘야. For the name I mentioned before, 지현, she would use the 이야 ending, so her introduction would sound like 지현이야. You can use this version only when you're absolutely sure the person is younger than you or the same age. However, once you're out of school, it's better to use the more polite forms. And that's it. Just pick the appropriate introduction for your situation. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. See you next time. 다음 시간에 만나요. Hi everybody, Jay here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of the most common Korean questions. The question for this lesson is, when should I use the humble form of verbs in Korean? There are some verbs in Korean that have humble forms and don't sound like their casual counterparts. We use these verbs when we refer to ourselves in formal situations. Two examples are 들이다 and 여쭈다. These two verbs are used instead of 주다 and 묻다 for to give and to ask respectively. Let's do some examples so you can learn how to use the humble forms of these verbs correctly. Let's say you want to ask a professor a question. How do you say, I'd like to ask you something? To show respect to your professor, you should use the humble form of to ask, 여쭈다, and say, 뭐 좀 여쭐게요. 좀 is another verb that makes your sentence sound softer. It sounds more polite than saying 뭐 좀 물어볼게요 because it uses the humble verb. Let's do another example. Now, you want to ask whether or not your classmate has turned in a group report. How do you say, did you give it to the professor? Here, even though you're talking to your friend, you're talking about the professor. So you still need to use the humble form and say, 교수님 드렸어? Did you give it to the professor? Here's a challenge. How can you say to your friend, give it to me, I'll give it to the professor? That's right. We need both 주다 and 들이다 for these sentences. 주다 for the first sentence and 들이다 for the second sentence. So you'll get 나 줘, 내가 교수님 드릴게, meaning give it to me, I'll give it to the professor. How was this lesson? I hope that clears things up. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. See you next time. 다음 시간에 만나요.
Want to speak real Korean from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at KoreanClass101.com.
안녕하세요, Amy예요. 반가워요. Hi everybody, I'm Amy. Welcome to KoreanClass101.com's 3분 한국어, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Korean. In the last lesson, we learned how to thank people by saying 감사합니다 and 고마워. In this lesson, we will learn some of the most common greetings used in Korea. Are you ready? Then let's start. The most common informal greeting is 안녕. 안녕. 안녕 means peace. We say it when we meet someone and also when we leave, but only to a friend or someone younger than us. The more standard greeting that you will hear a lot in Korea is 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. Literally, 안녕하세요 means, are you at peace? We use it to say hello when we meet someone. It's technically a question, but we don't always say it that way. 안녕하세요. Because 안녕하세요 is a question, some people answer it with 예, which means yes, before replying with the same question, 안녕하세요. When it's time to leave, we have a couple different ways to say goodbye. If you're leaving and the other person is staying, say 안녕히 계세요. 안녕히 계세요. 계세요 means please stay. So 안녕히 계세요 literally means please stay peacefully. A casual version of 안녕히 계세요 is 잘 있어. 잘 means well, and 있어 means stay informally. So 잘 있어 just means stay well. 잘 있어. If the other person is leaving, say 안녕히 가세요. 안녕히 가세요. 가세요 means please go. So 안녕히 가세요 literally means please go peacefully. A casual version of 안녕히 가세요 is 잘 가. 잘 means well and 가 means go informally. So 잘 가 just means go well. Now you know lots of ways to greet people in Korean. Let's review them all once again. To greet someone casually, 안녕. To greet someone respectfully, 안녕하세요. To say goodbye respectfully when you're leaving and the other person is staying, 안녕히 계세요. To say goodbye casually when you're leaving, 잘 있어. To say goodbye respectfully when the other person is leaving, 안녕히 가세요. To say goodbye casually when the other person is leaving, 잘 가. During the next lesson, we will learn the meaning of the phrase 영어를 할 수 있어요? Do you already know it? We'll be waiting to talk about it with you in our new 3분 한국어 lesson. 여러분 안녕히 계세요. 다음에 봐요.
Hi everyone, I'm Jae-hui. In this video, you'll see top 15 questions you should know. Okay, let's look at the questions. 몇 살이세요? How old are you? So it's very common to ask someone's age in Korea, so don't be surprised if someone whom you just met for the first time asks you this question. 몇 살이세요? 몇 살이세요? 20살이요. So you can basically say number and say 살이에요. 20살이에요. 30살이에요. And if you don't want to answer the question, you can say 몰라도 돼요. It's okay if you don't know. 뭐라고 했어요? What did you say? There are two cases. Let's see the first one. 그런데요, 뭐 했어요? 계세요. 뭐라고 했어요? You didn't understand what the other people say, so you can just simply say 뭐라고 했어요? To ask what did you say? But there's another case. Let's see. 옷이 그게 뭐예요? 별로 예쁘지도 않고. 뭐라고 했어요? This case, someone was talking something bad about you, so you're upset, and you can say, what did you say? 뭐라고 했어요? To, start your fight. 생일이 언제예요? When is your birthday? So it's also common to ask someone's birthday, and Korean people are very good at remembering someone's birthday and celebrating for them. For example, 생일이 언제예요? 5월 3일이에요. Sometimes people will say 음력 5월 3일이에요. 음력 means lunar calendar because some people have the birthday in the lunar calendar, not the solar calendar. In this case, their date of birthday will be changed every year. 어디 출신이세요? Where are you from? So in that case, if you're from the US, you can say 미국 출신이에요. Or you can just simply say 미국 사람이에요. I'm American. Or 프랑스 사람이에요. I'm French. 어디 출신이에요? 미국 출신이에요. Or something like that. 어디에 사십니까? Where do you live? So if someone asks you 어디에 사십니까? 신촌에 살아요. So they said like where do you live? And the other said I live in 신촌. So you can simply say 에 살아요. 신촌에 살아요. 홍대에 살아요. To say that you live in the specific area. I love where I used to live, which is 서대문, the center of the city. 어디에서 일해요? Where do you work? Even though you met someone for the first time, you might be asked, 어디에서 일해요? 무슨 회사에서 일해요? Where do you work? Which company do you work? And sometimes, plus, you might hear 연봉이 얼마예요? What is your annual salary? How much do you make for every year or something like that? So be ready for that. 어떻게 지내세요? How are you? So if you haven't seen someone for a long time, you can ask something like 어떻게 지내세요? How are you? Usually the common answers will be 잘 지내요. I'm doing well. 그냥요. So. Or if you want to be really honest, you can say 잘 못 지내요. I'm not doing well. 이거 뭐예요? What's this? I might just ask you 이게 뭐예요? Like when I'm invited to a dinner, then if I see someone that I haven't tried yet in my life, then I can just simply say 이거 뭐예요? What's this? And you can just simply say 이거 something something이에요. Like 이거 이탈리아 음식이에요. This is Italian food or something like that. What's this? 이게 뭐예요? 이게 뭐예요? What do you think it is? 이게 뭐예요? 이름이 뭐예요? What's your name? You can simply just give your full name or just first name if someone asks you 이름이 뭐예요? What's your name? For example, if someone asks me 이름이 뭐예요? Then I'll say 이재희입니다, using my full name. So it's kind of sounding rude if you just give your first name only actually, but if you have the name in English or name in non-Korean words, I think that's okay to also give you only the first name because it's easier to remember. 전화번호가 뭐예요? What's your phone number? That might be a little bit more personal question. We might ask someone's ID of some messenger program like KakaoTalk or Line, but we usually don't ask someone's telephone number. But if you are asked because for official purpose or something like that, then you can just give the, number with the area code. 전화번호가 뭐예요? 02-3552 입니다. So usually Korean numbers have 2 or 3 digits and 4, and you can just make some pause between 02-1234-5678. Make sure you make the pause so that they can get it easily. 한국 음식을 좋아합니까? Do you like Korean food? Yeah, that would be one of the common questions that you hear if you're not Korean. For sure, you have to say, 네, 좋아합니다. Yes, I like it. Even though you don't like some part of, you don't like spicy ones. In general, I recommend you to say, 네, 좋아합니다. I like it. But if you want to be real honest, you can say, 별로요. It's also. Or, 아니요, 별로 안 좋아합니다. No, I don't like it. 한국어를 공부한 지 얼마나 됐어요? How long have you been studying Korean? So in that case, you can just give how many months, how many years you've been studying Korean. For example, if it is for 1 year, you can say 1년이요, 3 years, 3년이요. Or if you just started, you can say 얼마 안 됐어요. It has not been that long. Or 최근이요, recently. So let me ask you, 한국어를 공부한 지 얼마나 됐어요? 힘내세요. 한국어를 어디서 배웠습니까? Where did you learn Korean? If you get this question, that means that your Korean is very good. When people are very impressed your Korean, they will just ask you where you learn it. 한국어를 어디서 배웠습니까? So you can just give the answer. For example, 어학원에서 배웠어요. I learned it from a language school. 어학원 is the word for a language school. Or you can say 혼자서 배웠어요. I studied alone. So let me ask you the question. 한국어를 어디서 배웠어요? koreanclass101.com이요? 감사합니다. 한국에 가본 적이 있습니까? Have you been to South Korea? So if you're not living in Seoul, but if someone thought that you're very interested in Korean culture and language, they will ask you this question. 한국에 가본 적이 있습니까? Have you been to South Korea? If you have, you can say 네, 있습니다. Yes, I have. Or you can say 아니요, 없습니다. No, I haven't. 화장실은 어디에 있습니까? Where's the bathroom? So 화장실 is the word meaning bathroom. So you can actually ask anything with this question pattern. For example, 슈퍼마켓은 어디에 있습니까? Where's the supermarket? And 지하철은 어디에 있습니까? Meaning where's the subway station? Okay, that's all top 15 questions you should know in Korean. I hope you like it. Make sure to subscribe. I'll see you next time. 다음 시간에 뵙겠습니다. 안녕히 계세요. Hi everyone, I'm Jae-hui. In this video, we'll be talking about 10 phrases you always want to hear. Okay, let's see what we have. 네가 이겼어. You win. So, if you play sports and you win, then the other will say 네가 이겼어. You win. So if you like this phrase, you might not want to hear the phrase 네가 졌어. You lose. 너한테 줄 특별한 게 있어. I brought you something special. So here we have the phrase 특별한 게, which means special thing. When you have a special gift, you can say 너한테 줄 특별한 게 있어. 네가 맞았어. You were right. You know, when you talk about if something is right, if something is wrong, finally, if the other person found out that you're right, you just hear 네가 맞았어. 너가 맞았어. If you want to say that I'm right, you can say that 내가 맞아. I'm right. 보고 싶어요. I miss you. Or casually you can say 보고 싶어, I want to see you, or I miss you. If you want to see someone's face again, you can send a text message saying 보고 싶어요, I miss you. 보고 싶어요, 보고 싶어요, 보고 싶어, 보고 싶어. 쉬세요. 오늘은 제가 청소할게요. Take a break. I'll do the cleaning today. Using the same pattern, you can hear something like 오늘은 설거지 내가 할게요, which means I'll do the dishwashing today. Like 예산은 무제한입니다. The budget is unlimited. So I'll be happy if I go to the company gathering and I hear something like 예산은 무제한입니다. Like there's no limit to the budget. But usually we use something more likely 돈은 걱정하지 마세요. Don't worry about the money. 오늘 멋지세요. You look great today. For women, you can also say 오늘 아름다우세요. Today you look beautiful. Yeah, it would be great if someone tell me about that. Like, how do I look today? So for example, you go to work and you see your senior looks tired, sleepy a little bit. Then you can just say, 오늘 멋지세요. And your senior will be like, 정말? 오늘 멋있는데. Like, the same thing replying back to you. 요리를 참 잘하시네요. You are an excellent cook. I want to hear that I recently started cooking. I started enjoying it. So my goal is to hear this phrase. 요리를 참 잘하시네요. So, like if someone is good at something, you can use the same pattern to talk about it. For example, 빨래를 잘하시네요. You are good at laundry. 아기 돌보기를 참 잘하시네요. You are good at taking care of a baby, or something like you are an excellent babysitter. Yeah, actually, I'm really good at taking care of babies. 성격이 참 좋으시네요. You have a good personality. Yeah, I think this is the most popular phrase that Korean people want to hear, because we all want to be a good person. And if someone says 성격이 참 좋으시네요, that means that we made it. If someone tell me something like 성격이 참 좋으시네요, I'll be very happy to hear that. 잘했어요. You did a great job. Yeah, actually, when you work at a company, I think this is the phrase that you want to hear from your boss or supervisor. 잘했어. 잘했어요. You did a great job. After you watch this video, make sure you leave a comment so that I can say 잘했어요 to you. It's kind of blackmailing. You do this. Okay, that's all top 10 phrases you always want to hear. I hope you like some of the phrases that we introduced in this video. Make sure to subscribe and I'll see you in the next video. 다음 시간에 뵙겠습니다. 안녕히 계세요. Hi everyone, I'm Jae-hui. Welcome back to Korean Weekly Words. In this video, we'll be talking about must-know expressions for agreeing and disagreeing. Let's begin. 그건 사실이야. That's true. 그건 사실이야. That's true. 네가 말하는 게 사실이야. What you're saying is true. You can say that 그거 사실이야. Is that true? 그런 것 같아요. I guess so. 그런 것 같아요. I guess so. If you're not 100% sure, but if you feel like that's correct, you can say that 그런 것 같아요. I guess so. 그런 것 같아요. I guess so. 그럼요. Absolutely. 그럼요. Absolutely. So if someone asks you like 오늘 저녁에 같이 갈비 먹으러 갈까? Do you want to have some 갈비 tonight together? For sure, you can say that 그럼요. Meaning I really want to do that. Like absolutely. 어떻게 생각해요? What do you think? 어떻게 생각해요? What do you think? Yeah, that's the question when you want to ask if someone agree or disagree with you. So in that case, you can say 어떻게 생각해요? Or 어떻게 생각해? To mean what do you think? 나는 그게 좋다고 생각해. I think that's good. Or 나는 그거 별로라고 생각해. I don't think that's good. 아마도요. Maybe. 아마도요. Maybe. When you don't have enough information to say yes or no, you can be in the middle by saying 아마도요. Maybe. 저는 그렇게 생각하지 않아요. I don't think so. 저는 그렇게 생각하지 않아요. I don't think so. This one has a strong message, so usually Korean people don't use that often. But like when you use this kind of expression, it's better to, put the reason why you think like that. So it's better to say 저는 그렇게 생각하지 않아요. 왜냐하면, which means I don't think so because something something. 당연하죠. Of course. 당연하죠. Of course. So for example, if your senior asks you, 이 리포트 오늘 밤까지 마무리할 수 있겠어? Which means that, do you think you can finish this report by tonight? And you can say that 당연하죠, of course. 저도 그 말을 하려고 했어요. I was just going to say that. So if your friend says that, 오늘 밤에 삼겹살 먹는 거 어때? Why don't we have 삼겹살 tonight? Then you can just say that, 저도 그 말을 하려고 했어요. I was just going to say that. 저는 좀 생각이 달라요. I'm afraid I disagree. 저는 좀 생각이 달라요. I'm afraid I disagree. This is also an expression that has a strong message. It's better not to say that often, but if you think you really have to say that you don't agree with someone else's idea, like for example, during the business meeting, you can say that 저는 좀 생각이 달라요. I'm afraid I disagree. 확실해요. No doubt about it. 확실해요. No doubt about it. Here we have the word 확실, which means that, something 100% sure. For example, your senior can ask you, 이 리포트 정확해? Which means that does this report has all the correct information? Then you can say that 확실해요. No doubt about it. Okay, that's all must-know expressions for agreeing and disagreeing. If you want to find more expressions like that, visit koreanclass101.com. And I'll see you next time. 다음 시간에 뵙겠습니다. 안녕히 계세요. Hi everyone, I'm Jae-hee. Welcome back to Korean Weekly Words. Let's see what we have for this week. This week's theme is life events. Okay, let's see what we have. The first word is 태어나다, to be born. So with the word you can say 저는 서울에서 태어났습니다, which means I was born in Seoul. So you can say 저는 place name에서 태어났습니다 when you want to talk about where you are born in. Okay, next we have 생일, which means birthday. With the word you can say 생일 선물로 새로운 노트북을 갖고 싶습니다, which means I want to get a new laptop as the birthday gift. 생일 선물 in Korean is birthday gift. Yeah. Okay, next we have 취직하다, which means to get a job. With the word you can say 대학교를 졸업하기 전에 취직했습니다, which means I got a job before I graduated. Okay, next we have 여행하다, which means to travel. Yeah. With the word you can say 내년에 유럽에 여행을 가기 위해서 돈을 모으고 있습니다, which means I'm saving money to travel to Europe next year. Next we have 은퇴하다, which means to retire. With the word you can say 저는 은퇴하기 싫습니다, which means I don't want to retire. So I just want to keep doing what I like until the end of the life. And okay, that's all for this week. I'll see you next time. 다음 시간에 뵙겠습니다. 안녕히 계세요. Hi everyone, I'm Jae-hee. In this video, we'll be talking about 10 lines you need for introducing yourself. Let's begin. 제 이름은 민준입니다. My name is 민준. So like this way you can say 제 이름은, my name is, your name, 입니다, to be. My name is Jae-hee, so I can say 제 이름은 재휘입니다. Or with my family name, I can say 제 이름은 이재휘입니다. So when you introduce yourself in Korean, make sure you say family name first and then your first name. 서울에 살고 있습니다. I live in Seoul. So you can put any city's name. For example, if you're living in New York City, you can say 뉴욕시에 살고 있습니다. I live in New York City. 27살입니다. I'm 27 years old. The basic way to say 27 is 27. But when you talk about your age, for example, 27 years old, you have to use native Korean numbers, like in 27살, 27 years old, not 27살. Let me pick up some numbers. For example, if you're 30-year-old, you can say 저는 30살입니다. If you are 20 years old, you can say 저는 20살입니다. 한국 사람입니다. I'm from South Korea. 한국 사람입니다. I'm from South Korea, or I am South Korean. So just put your country's name instead of 한국 in this sentence. For example, if you are Chinese, you can say 중국 사람입니다. If you are American, you can say 미국 사람입니다. 중국 means China and 미국 means America. And here you have 사람 means person. So it literally means I'm a person of Korea. I'm a person of China. 교사입니다. I'm a teacher. For example, if you're a teacher, you can say 교사입니다. Or In some way, you can also say 선생님입니다. I'm a teacher. If you are a student, you can say 학생입니다. I'm a student. 독서는 제 취미 중 하나입니다. One of my hobbies is reading. If you like drawing, you can say 그리기는 제 취미 중 하나입니다. Or just to make it simple, you can say 그리기는 제 취미입니다. Which means that my hobby is drawing. 음악 감상을 즐깁니다. I enjoy listening to music. 음악 감상 means listening to music or music listening literally. So you can just put something else. For me, I can say 여행을 즐깁니다. I enjoy traveling. 한국어를 1년째 공부하고 있습니다. I've been learning Korean for 1 year. So if you speak Korean to Korean people in Korea, they will be surprised. I'll be surprised if someone just suddenly talk to me in Korean. Then you get asked, 한국어 얼마나 공부했어요? How long have you studied Korean? And if you just started studying Korean, you can say 한국어를 한 달째 공부하고 있습니다. I've been studying Korean for 1 month. 안녕하세요. 만나서 반갑습니다. Hello, it's nice to meet you. In general, like if you meet someone, before you talk about your name or after you talk about a name, you can say 안녕하세요. 만나서 반갑습니다. Hello, it's nice to meet you. Or if you know the other person is younger than you, or you just want to be a little bit more casual, you can say 안녕 만나서 반가워. koreanclass101.com에서 한국어를 배우고 있습니다. I'm studying Korean at koreanclass101.com. So people ask you where you learn Korean from, and you can proudly say that koreanclass101.com에서 한국어를 배우고 있습니다. Or if you're learning Korean at a language school, you can say that 어학원에서 한국어를 배우고 있습니다. I'm learning Korean at a language school. Okay, that's all 10 lines you need for introducing yourself. Leave some comments and introduce yourself using one of the expressions that we introduced in this video. Make sure to subscribe and I'll see you next time. 다음 시간에 뵙겠습니다. 안녕히 계세요. Hi everyone, welcome back to Korean Weekly Words. In this video, we'll be talking about top 10 Korean foods. 국수, wheat flour noodles. 국수, wheat flour noodles. In Korea, when there's a festival, this is the main dish that you can try. Traditionally, 국수, the wheat flour noodles, was the main dish for party. Like instead of having a lot of meat and everything, in the past, people shared the noodle for celebrating someone's birthday or a big event of a family. So in a sentence, you can say 그 잔치에 가면 국수를 먹을 수 있습니다. 김치, kimchi. So I think this is one of the very famous Korean food around the world. So in Korea, like without kimchi, you cannot call something as a meal. Like so every time whenever you have something, even with pizza, you can find kimchi on the table too. So in a sentence, I can say 우리 엄마는 피자를 먹을 때 김치도 함께 먹습니다. Which means that my mother eats kimchi when she's having pizza. 김치 볶음밥, kimchi fried rice. When I was a kid, like in the morning, my mom is working mother still, like she's working. So she was very busy in the morning. So this kimchi 볶음밥 was the food that she can prepare very easily within 5 minutes. You can sometimes put something like egg on the top of the kimchi 볶음밥 as a topping, or something like some different types of meat too. So you can have different flavor for each day. So in a sentence, you can say 아침에 바빠서 김치볶음밥을 만들었습니다. Which means that I was busy in the morning, so I made 김치볶음밥, kimchi fried rice. 김치찌개, kimchi stew. So here we have the word kimchi and 찌개, which means stew. So there are actually a lot of types of stew in Korea, and kimchi찌개 is the most popular one. So in a sentence, I can say 갈비를 다 먹고 김치찌개를 주문했습니다. That means I ordered kimchi stew after having Korean style barbecue. 냉면, cold noodle soup. 냉면, cold noodle soup. So the way to make this noodle cold is to put shaved ice over the soup. So you can have noodle and shaved ice together. So that's why it's very popular for summer, but for actually any season you can find it at a Korean restaurant. In a sentence, you can say 날씨가 더워서 오늘 저녁에는 냉면을 먹을 겁니다. Which means since it's hot today, I'm going to have cold noodle soup for dinner. 된장찌개, 된장 stew or soybean paste stew. The way we make it is kind of similar to how we make kimchi kimchi stew, but with a different main item inside the soup. 식당에 가서 김치찌개 하나랑 된장찌개 하나를 주문했습니다. Which means that I ordered one kimchi stew and one soybean paste stew at a restaurant. 떡볶이, stir-fried rice cake. 떡볶이, stir-fried rice cake. So here we have the word 떡, which means rice cake, and 볶 means fried. When I was a kid, I loved that because it's spicy and it's sweet. It's very small portion, so you can have it between lunch and dinner. And it's cheap too. So for one person, like it only costs about $1 or 1,000원. In a sentence, I can say 어렸을 때 학교에서 집에 가는 길에 떡볶이를 자주 먹었습니다. Which means that I often had stir-fried rice cake when I was on the way home from school. 라면, ramen. So as you can see, it sounds very similar. Like ramen is the Japanese name of the same food. So we call it as ramen using the word 면, which means noodle. When Korean people say ramen, it means instant ramen, not some kind of Japanese style ramen. So if you find out that there's nothing to eat at home, you can simply just say 편의점에 가서 라면을 사올게, which means that I'll go to a convenience store and buy ramen. 부대찌개, army base stew. 부대찌개, army base stew. So in the past, you could have it only around the army post, but now people love the taste. So you can find the restaurant selling 부대찌개 at every corner of the city and in South Korea. 오늘 점심시간에는 직장 동료들과 부대찌개를 먹었습니다. Which means that I had the army base stew with my coworkers for lunch. 순두부찌개, raw bean curd stew. 순두부찌개, raw bean curd stew. I like the 순두부찌개 because of its texture. Like 순두부 is very soft. It tastes like pudding. So Korean people usually have 순두부찌개 with egg too, to make it a little bit less spicy. So if you don't like something spicy, I think it's kind of good tip to put something like raw egg into the soup so that it can be a little bit less spicy. These days, I think 순두부찌개 is getting more popular, so you can actually find it very easily. 오늘 순두부찌개 먹을래? Do you want to have raw bean curd stew today? Okay, that's all words about top 10 Korean foods. I hope you like some of this food, and make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. 다음 시간에 뵙겠습니다. 안녕히 계세요. Hi everyone, welcome back to Korean Weekly Words. I'm Jae-hee. In this video, we'll be talking about 10 must-know math words. Let's begin. 계산하다, calculate. A little means to do calculation because the 계산, the noun means calculation. So if you're bad students, you might want to say that 계산하는 게 싫어요. I don't like calculating. I don't like to calculate. Or you can also say that 계산하는 걸 잘해요. I'm good at calculation. 공식, formulas. There are a lot of formulas in math. So when I was in the junior high and high school, there are a lot of formulas that I had to memorize. So in that case, I could say 고등학교 때 공식을 많이 외웠습니다. I remembered a lot of formulas when I was in high school. But now I forgot most of that. So in that case, you can also say that 공식을 거의 다 잃어버렸습니다. I forgot the most of the formulas. 곱하기, times. In Korean, the way to read a number and something between is the same in English. For example, 3 곱하기 4 is for 3 times 4. Or 5 곱하기 5 means 5 times 5. So you can just replace times with 곱하기 and then read the numbers in Korean way when you have to give the kind of formulas. 나누기, divide. So 나누기 is the same, like just say the number and then 나누기, the number. For example, 10 divide 2 is 10 나누기 2. And you can also say that 8 divide 2 as 8 나누기 2. 더하기, plus. You can find 더하기 as in 2 더하기 5, 2 plus 5, 3 더하기 7, 3 plus 10. 빼기, minus. So for example, you can use it as 3 빼기 1, 3 minus 1, or 4 빼기 2, 4 minus 2. 이다, equal. So when you read numbers and formulas for the math, you can just say something something 이다 to mean equal. So for example, 3 더하기 2는 5이다. 3 plus 2 equals 5. Because we have a different sentence structure, you have to put equals to the end of the sentence and say 이다, as in 2 더하기 5는 7이다. 2 plus 5 equals 7. 소수점, point. For a math, when you want to mean decimal point, you can just say 소수점, but when you read it with numbers, you can just say 점. So for example, 3.2 is 3.2, 5.7 is 5.7. So you don't have to say 소수점 when you read point with numbers. 백분율, percent. When you read the percent as it is, you can just say 백분율. But when you read percent with numbers, you can just say 퍼센트. For example, 10% is 10%, 20% is 20%. So, for example, when something is on sale, you can find some phrase saying 10% sale 중, sale for 10%. 수학, math. There are actually two words to mean math, like 산수 and 수학. 수학 means math in general. 산수 sounds like some simple math that you can learn from the elementary school. So when you see a textbook for elementary school students, it says 산수, but for junior or junior high school students, it says 수학. So when you teach English to elementary school students, make sure you use the word 산수, not 수학. For example, you can say 수학은 언제나 어렵습니다. Math is always difficult. Okay, that's all 10 must-know math words. If you want to know more words about math or other subjects, make sure to visit koreanclass101.com. And we'll see you next time. 다음 시간에 뵙겠습니다. 안녕히 계세요.
무슨 영화 볼까?
액션 영화 볼까?
에이, 스펜스 영화 볼까?
아니. 만화 영화는?
로맨틱 코미디 볼까?
불고기
잘 먹겠습니다.
맛있어요.
응, 맛있어.
잘 먹었습니다.
왕가시아 씨?
네, 안녕하세요. 저는 완갈시아입니다.
안녕하세요. 저는 이성호입니다. 반갑습니다.
네, 반갑습니다.
저기요, 이것은 뭐예요?
그것은 instant noodles입니다.
한국말로 뭐예요?
한국말로 라면입니다.
예? 뭐라고요? 한 번 더 말해주세요.
라면이요.
정말 미안합니다. 천천히 말해주세요.
라면이요.
아, 라면, 인스턴트 누들스. 고맙습니다.
한국어 사전 있어요?
아니요. 영어 사전 있어요.
추리 소설 있어요?
미스테리? 없어요.
판타지 있어요?
아니요. 공상과학 소설 있어요.
Want to speed up your language learning? Take your very first lesson with us. You'll start speaking in minutes and master real conversations. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description.